Our first training cycle for the 2022 competitive CrossFit season just started. For more information and to join, head to trainingthinktank.com.
We'll kind of dive into it. So today, welcome to the show. We're talking about group training. Yeah. We were just talking.
As you did that, I feel like I needed to.
I know we were actually just talking
Posture
about
up.
Yeah, how when
If you're gonna posture up, Trav, make sure you posture up that mic to your face.
Man, this is so strange having
faulty equipment
at the corner of my mouth, but this works, Chris, right?
You sound great, Mike.
Okay, good. Yeah.
How do I sound?
We were just talking
Great.
about when you watch someone interview, or even more so when you're watching someone talk about posture, you like correct yourself as they're doing it. I'm like, oh yeah. Do you, when you're coaching a class or working with someone individually and they're doing push jerks, do you like air push jerk with them?
100%.
Yeah.
When somebody will squat, I can tell I start to tense up, like stand. And then I'm like, what am I doing?
Did you see the video of Brandon Wallen at Vegas when Bree was competing? He's in the back and he's like,
that was hysterical. He's doing the whole thing with her.
And someone filmed it. He did it for like a minute.
That's
I think it was
awesome.
the shoulder over
Yeah,
head.
and he was like,
It was so funny.
I wonder if that would actually I get anxious in those moments. Maybe it'd almost feel better to move,
Yeah.
dance around.
Just do
like
the
a
whole workout
girl.
with him.
Yeah. He
Air-
looked
air
anxious.
yeah.
I feel like even doing the workouts as like fake versions of them over by the side, like with no
would be
weight,
like,
I'd still be tired. You'd get 2 rounds in, I'd be like, no, you guys keep going. I'm going to take a break here.
That's totally off topic, but what if they did that as like a feature as part of like some of the games events? They had like a lane that you could follow along and do like air movements of them and try to move at the same speed as those guys.
I would
cool.
love to have on the broadcast an option where you could see an amateur doing the same, even if it was scaled, like just an amateur doing the workout just
At
to
the same
show the discrepancy.
I feel like you need to see that at the Olympics, though.
Yeah,
I saw someone make a post about that one time. They're like, they need to have the Olympics set up to where in every event, there's always one more lane of just an average Joe doing it just for like comparison.
Yeah.
For all the people at home, they're like, I can do that.
I feel like you could even have high level people do it,
for sure.
and you would still see like this major discrepancy. Be like, well, they're still competitive athletes.
Like
division-
swimming would be so funny. Just add an 11th lane and have be out there.
You'd need a couple. You'd need like, all right, here's a current Division I, like middle level person. Here's somebody who's just starting. Just like
Yes.
Doggy paddle.
flopping.
Yeah, that'd be so funny. I think we can make it happen if we make enough posts on Instagram.
Well, that's kind of what a group class looks like, right? You have Tater
Oh,
McElroy over in
good
the back.
transition.
It is a good transition. I was
Segue of champion.
Ricky
Yeah.
Fire breather crushing it.
yeah. So let's talk
Cheater
about it.
Cheater rep.
Yes. Oh, speaking of that, I'm not going to name names, but I worked for a CrossFit at some point in my life that had a camera in their gym, and they did a benchmarking day, and they did Fran. And he went back and counted everyone's reps. There was like 40 something members to start because it was like just getting started. And like 29 of them didn't even come close on their reps.
I know
And he
what gym this is.
And he
I
sat
remember this.
down and he had a one-on-one talk with everyone, like talking about, I was like, all right, I respect you for doing that. Cause that's awkward. Like, hey, we secretly put up a camera and just caught you cheating.
Yeah.
Let's not do
So
that again.
30 of you have not done Fran.
Did he give
you
the
need to
people who
redo
didn't
it.
cheat like
I
a
hope
prize?
so. Yeah.
A sticker?
I don't remember. Those days are hazy in my brain, but
What is as a gym owner, you still obviously see that sometimes.
Oh, you see it all the time.
What's your process
Call
for
him out,
that?
Trav.
no, don't do it.
You don't have to
Can
name
you know
names,
what?
but
You can if you
No,
want.
I'm not going to call them out. I love all my members.
but I think it's a good conversation to have. Like,
No, I
because-
mean, as a coach, I mean, I feel like from even starting early on, like there's some people that are here to actually get better and they're going to try and they're going to do the work to do that. And then others that you can have talks with and they still are going to cheat. And regardless if they're actually cheating versus like you're just wide brain and you actually do genuinely forget. And
Did you just call it wad brain?
Yeah.
I've never heard that. Sorry.
Ever?
I have.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like in the middle of the workout, like you just forget, like you might forget what round, you might forget the reps, like that's understandable. But then when it's like, you can blatantly see like out of the corner of my eye, I'm like, okay, you just did 100 double unders in 20 seconds. Wow, that's impressive.
I don't get wad brain. I get soft brain.
I'm going to just take a break right now. I have a question about that. So like, if you use golf as an example, you just played on Sunday. There'll be people who like move their lie in, fluff it up, make it good. And I feel like unless you're actually like being competitive with the people you're playing with, or you have competitive aspirations, it doesn't really matter. You're like out there to have fun, whatever.
Yeah.
As if you're going to cheat, just do it. And I don't care, but not if we're playing like competitively. I kind of think of training the same way. Like if I'm at the gym bodybuilding and I have a set of 20 to do and
With
I get
15-pound bar versus a 45. Yeah.
well, yeah, for sure. But if I get to rep like 15, 16, 17, and I'm like getting to failure and I don't really feel like dealing with the discomfort that day, I might just like be like, all right, that's good enough for the day.
Yeah.
And stop it. But CrossFit's kind of like a sport. So it doesn't give people the opportunity to do that. It's like, no, you got to do 21 at that weight. Like,
Yeah.
no
Yeah,
matter
but I
what.
feel like then you take into the scaling factor of like throttling back or taking it easy versus like,
You just call it live scaling.
versus using like the prescribed weight of 135. It's like, okay, no, I'll take it to 75. So I feel like that would be your way of modifying and scaling it down, or just like, I need to modify the reps today. Like today's not the day.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're at a gym that can do that appropriately for you and be like, look, you're run down, like clearly you need to take it easy, or just be like, go ride the bike for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I think the intent is different for some members too, right? You have some members that come in and like they take fitness very serious and they're going to do all the reps right and the range of motion right, and they're here to like learn, and that's great. And on the other side, you have people that come in that this is like a racquetball league to them. Like they want to come in and play and race others. And I used to be against that thought process and think like, no, like it needs to be, you need to come in and only do what's good for you. And like, I completely disregarded the component of like keeping things kind of fun and competitive in a safe way, obviously, like not being stupid about it, but like, yeah, I'm sure you battle with that, and you have to kind of like pick and choose your battles with members sometimes on like there are some members that no matter what you say, you could threaten their membership. They are not going to go to death. Like they don't care. They want to come in and just move fast and feel good. And like, that's fine.
Yeah. There's definitely those members I have in my head right now that I could even tell you. Well, it's still not high enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Is this better?
Yeah. And you look postured good like this.
You look so good.
I feel like I look ridiculous. But there's definitely members that I know I could call them out right now, but I'm not going to. But there's no point in having the discussion with them about it, because you've done it before and multiple times, or even just scaling.
Yeah.
Like they just don't want to scale. They want to RX everything. And I'm like, but you're not gaining anything out of that.
There were two things were you done with your thoughts? Sorry.
Sure.
Okay. I feel like there are two things that
just cut me off. Yeah, I'm really just trying to extend over here so this microphone is in a good spot for Chris.
The first, I think, is like the academic way of thinking. And like I went through like going through my own academic research and then working for OPT for 2 years. So I think my early days of CrossFit were very scientific oriented, and it had this assumption embedded in it that you're trying to get as much progress as you possibly can with as little risk as you possibly can. What I realized over time as I started coaching people, I'm like, oh, well, like progress at all costs is a very specific, very small niche group of people that are training.
Yep.
Most other people, it's about community, fun, accountability, culture, looking good. And there is like, if somebody is purely just training to lose a little bit of body fat and they come in and they do partial range thrusters, they're still getting the training effect that would be required if they're pairing it with good nutrition. And if you look at bodybuilding protocols, there's a ton of like partial rep range shit. So letting go of the academic or even militaristic way of thinking, like I think the level one, sometimes you go in and they're like, move your knee here. It's got to be here. This is the position. You're not tight here. You have to be exact. That standard is like a very small group of people. And if you try to hold the standard in a group class, I think it just ends up like, I don't know, eroding the culture, or making it less likely people are going to enjoy training.
Yeah, but don't you think that also then creates a culture of movement quality and an understanding of getting better positions? And then
for sure.
So I feel like it can go both ways of that, of still creating the community aspect and not watering it down and being super military-ish and strict, where like you can't lay over after a workout or whatever it is that people do, but still creating like movement patterns that are good. Cause I mean, I feel like we still deal with that of watching people, and I'm like you can move so much better if you just take your time and slow down. So it's a fine line of knowing when that point is to focus on that with them and then not.
Yeah. And do you do that? Cause I feel like before I used to think that the program design could help create those movement changes. Like for example, we did on-ramp work with you for your snatch for
Years.
months, and still like handstand positional work. Every time you get away from competition, it's always circling back to trying to make you as efficient as possible. But that time, like in a training cycle, like right now, 2 weeks ago, like right after the games, right before you get back into Rogue, you might have done over an hour a day of just trying to refine your positions and unwind stuff. Most general members are not going to have that kind of time. So if you embed that kind of movement work into the training, it just ends up being boring. So that burden shifts from the program design when you're working with an individual to you, the coach, to make those calls, right? Like that's kind of what you do is you put boundaries and be like, oh, okay, like it's kind of a soft boundary, but you've crossed the line of now you're being unsafe and I got to come in and like reel you back into the herd of what's acceptable.
And I mean, I feel like that's just kind of constant throughout the whole process. And then depending on who the members are and the community, like I feel like we've had talks where it's like, okay, well, this is like too boring, as you would call it. For like
it's not I say not engaging enough.
Yeah. And so like, ultimately they're here just to do CrossFit, right? Like that's what they signed up to do. This is what they enjoy. They like to just come in, sweat, have a hard workout, but then you also still have to look at it as movement patterns, how they're squatting, how they're pressing, and making sure that like you're still safe doing it. And so it's trying to find the balance of more engaging, but then still giving them what they want. So I feel like it's just been a long process of doing this, but now I feel like we're kind of at a good
I mean, the process he's talking about is we started working together, writing the training for the gym over 2 years ago. And originally when I came in, I was extremely focused on, these are the metrics we're going to try and improve. These are the things that I see, and kind of disregarded like, what is the community atmosphere like and how can I continue to enhance it, making it fun while also keeping them safe and providing challenges. Because I would write some training sessions that were so focused on skill development, and then the workout would have a bottleneck in it, and like people would leave not feeling like they worked out for the day. And like that's a challenge. And like I think that's okay on occasion, but you can't do that every day because people just aren't going to be engaged. Or if it's a skill that like some fit people in the gym already have, you're going to make them less fit. Right. Like you're just not challenging them in the way. So over the last couple of years, we found a really good balance of, what movements need to continue to be in there. Cause you could go the route of just like taking anything that you would consider unsafe for the population of the gym and just remove it. And that's one approach. Right. And I think that's very safe and no one would ever get hurt that way. But at the same time, that there's never any pressure to actually get better at certain movements. So I think having those things in there on occasion is important. Like,
and I feel like you start removing those things and they can't ever work on it. And then we always do the open. So the open's like a big thing that everybody looks forward to. And it's like, okay, well, you don't need to snatch. Okay, well then it comes out in the open, and then
they got to be prepared for it.
Yeah, to a degree. So I think you still have to focus on those things and practice them, and whether you just be smart enough to actually lower the percentage and the weight to actually focus on that, or creating different classes that add for them to get something else out of it. You can do that. Like there's a lot of other ways around it, but you still have to, I think, always kind of hit pure CrossFit to a degree because that's what they're ultimately here for.
I have a question. So I feel like snatch, muscle up, maybe handstand walk are like the three movements that come out really frequently in, the open type setting that are probably also, if you just look at it from an outside world, people outside of CrossFit, it's like, why is Susie Q from the, soccer mom ever trying to do these things? Like it's just unsafe. It's not required to lean out, to be good, to be healthy, but it's one of the tested movements. If you had to use like the united environment of whatever it is, 200 people, what percentage like walks in the door and can do those skills? And if it's really low, to get up to a certain level, how long does it take if you're just doing classes just to get proficient enough so that you can do it in the open versus people not being able to do it?
Are you asking me or him?
I mean, I guess
was that
both.
Just a conversation?
I mean, it was just a conversation point, not a specific question.
I would say based on the members I see, it's 10% or less can do some of the higher skill movements. Yeah. You have a pretty, from the gyms that I've seen, you have a pretty competitive gym and like rounded in terms of skills.
Yeah. We had, you had 3 members that qualified for quarterfinals, right? Yeah. With just class training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then just like random stuff on top of that. But and I think it's also part like creating an on-ramp process, creating different things. Like as soon as they come into the gym and join, like there has to be a progression and ways to advance to get to that point. Like learning how to pick up the bar, learning how to like press, the simple things, but then you can see it changes pretty quick as soon as you start going to like the Olympic lifts, learning how to power clean, learning how to snatch. Like those things get very complicated very fast. But I think it's just, we snatch, I feel like pretty frequently, that they get enough touches on it enough that they feel somewhat comfortable, I believe. I mean, it's always people like, oh, snatches, but I feel like the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it.
Yeah, when I review the program now, because I have a young athlete that's kind of hybriding between that and individual coaching, so I get to watch as you're progressing. It seems like if I were coaching like a Travis or somebody at a high level of competition and I was going to run progressions for somebody, if they were doing snatches, they'd probably be snatching, 2 or 3 days a week in the full lift with positions and extra work that's accessory based. It seems like you have a pretty high frequency, but you manipulate the style of it, like snatch, overhead, head push press, snatch balance. So there's a ton of variation in it to allow them to get better, but not necessarily be beholden to just the one movement.
Yeah. And you got to consider a couple things too, right? Like when you're writing for a group like this, when you write for an individual, you can give them the days that they have their structured progressions because they're doing it every day. I don't know what days your members come on consistently, right? Like
me neither.
No, like people, and I don't think they need to. I don't think they need to come into the gym 6 days a week because there's 6 days of programming, right? So like there are main progressions that we pick that all right, I know the majority of class is going to show up on Monday and Wednesday through this training cycle. So I want to put the important things on those days to make sure they hit it and they don't miss those progressions. And so maybe those snatch progressions, because just from experience of programming in a group, snatch can beat people up, if they don't have positions for it. So it'll alternate the days versus like the squat progressions that people can do once a week and remain healthy doing those. Those will like stay in there consistently. But like going back to your point with the snatches, I think you have to consider too that it's positional, it's strength, it's a bunch of different reasons. There's a bunch of different reasons why someone can't do a snatch correctly. So I have to kind of cycle through those.
Yeah, you got to kind of hit all of those different limitations in one program.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, so if there's a day where it's like, all right, we're going to work on strength and snatch position off the floor, and that's going to be like the main focus of it, then the barbell warm up is going to be light overhead position work, just to make sure we're kind of touching both.
When you first took over the program structure, what were the major complaints you got? Because I know at first I
think it was more learning and understanding how to write into a group setting. I think it was still written as if it's like just one person doing it. So it's like, for me, when we get our program, like I know these things are going to be boring and not engaging and not fun. And so for them, they want that. So it's just finding the balance. I think at first it was, some days would be just aerobic work and they're like, I want to do something else besides I want to do something else besides sitting on a bike for 45 minutes at a zone 1. And then every 5 minutes I'm for them, they don't find that enjoyable because then they would just go to a spin class or something where they're here for CrossFit. So just finding the balance of it is still a group and there's a lot of people you're trying to make happy and be pleased with it. But you also have to understand that's not realistic. Like, every single day someone comes in, they're not going to be excited always for what the workout is compared to me. But
what was the major changes that you have made over the 2 years to get into a better state? Because I know I've talked to a couple members and now
I think it's almost
really like it,
like a version of still keeping healthy progressions and letting them be able to see the progress. While still giving them CrossFit, but then also still like aerobic capacity, kind of some of the other stuff for the other people that actually do enjoy that. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could speak for it on the other side.
I mean, all right. So originally I had all these things on, this is what I see that the Gen Pop needs. These are the things that they need to remain healthy. And again, like I mentioned, I didn't really consider like how fun it would be or like what they're actually signed up and paying for. You got to meet in the middle a little bit. I came in like, no, like you go to work, you're stressed all day and you're trying to come to the gym and unfuck yourself. Like it doesn't work like that. But like in reality, like that's what they want. Like that's how they blow off steam sometimes. So like that's
what they're paying me for.
Yeah. Sometimes too, people like this isn't their only fitness outlet. Like they might be doing CrossFit 3 days a week and then playing golf 2 days. Like they do other things that maybe are the unwind calm stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would like write out a progressions in a 6-week block and think like, all right, we got to have breathing days. We got to have lower intensity days. We got to have interval days because you just can't come in and do hard metcons all the time. And it was just a little too much. So I started pulling back and like meeting in the middle a little bit. One thing I know that they did love that I saw and was really consistent was strength progressions, right? Like having, all right, these are the 2 lifts we're going to focus on this cycle, and like week to week, you're going to see linear progressions for it. And they like love coming in and feeling stronger week to week. We read the Brodel, which was like a mix of upper body testing, upper body strength testing. Nice. It was bench press,
handstand push up,
pull up, AMRAP, 3 rep max pull up, and then 5-minute AMRAP strict handstand push up.
Yeah. That's something. So like when I look at a lot of the programs out there that are like classic CrossFit that are being disseminated to affiliates, it seems like if I looked at it, that the strength progression is either weightlifting or powerlifting. And if it is powerlifting, it's more squat oriented and deadlift oriented, not necessarily bench or press. And then plus Metcon. It seems like you've had a lot of ways to weave different styles of training into EMOMs, AMRAPs, intervals, actual Metcons, and have put a variety of strength tests in there over time, which I think creates, I mean, you can kind of tell me, it creates better longer term progression and just better joint health doing it that way.
Yeah, I think there's ways to be creative with it and keep it fun. So like if there's a day that is an upper body strength or pulling priority day, and we also needed to do toe to bar skill work, right? I'm not going to do toe to bar skill work and then a bunch of strict pull-ups, because if that's the one of the 3 days that person comes that week, they're going to leave not feeling very fit or like they got a good workout. So,
or they rip their hands just doing a bunch of skill toes to bar.
Right. Like, so I'll be creative with like, all right, well, we're going to put the strict pull-ups in a 20-minute AMRAP with Echo bike. So like they go do a max set of pull-ups and then they ride the bike really hard. And like, it's just, there's ways to be creative so they can still get what's necessary and safe and like good, but at the same time, like still feeling like they got worked.
Can we talk about the fact that you have to do all your opens and Friday night lights to do your best, and you need that community?
I 100% agree. I need my
how many PRs have you set in your in your class environment? Unexpected. Yeah.
Well, he probably expects to hit them.
I mean, you randomly snatched that time and PR just snatched during the meet.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like definitely during the open, I get very fired up on Friday Night Lights, just watching everybody go and do the workouts. And so there's been sometimes I have.
Come on, dude, be honest. You go next level.
I've redone the workout when the class or when everybody's there. It's very motivating.
So basically, let's explain it. Friday morning, you get here, you set up your station to do all your open. You do your open attempt, which is like important for your sport as a career as an athlete, obviously. And then Friday night, you coaching the Friday Night Lights, and then you just get so amped up, you do it again.
He just jumps into it. And PRs. I
feel like it also is just like in those moments, you need to just do that because it's like the energy's high. Like you don't need to think about it. Just go. And I mean, it's worked. It's paid off. So
I fucking respect it. It amazes me that you go through that. Like some of those workouts are like 400 reps of stuff, and you're just standing around all night screaming for people, and then jump into the workout and do better 8 hours later with a belly full of cookies. It's pretty impressive.
The one that impressed me the most was the deadlift, handstand push-up, handstand walk-one.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
That was
same day.
He did it that night.
I did it that,
You did it in the morning.
And then I came at night, I watched, and I remember I was like,
and you went like a minute faster. I was like, I don't understand anything.
Yeah.
I know nothing.
It's where there's people, there's power. It's like, if you can draw on the community, it makes you do shit that
where'd you get that quote from?
I don't know. But
I like that.
I mean, I keep it.
That should be, honestly though, that should be.
You remember it?
That should be. It was just like teed up. You just had it ready. Something you say it this morning at some point too?
No.
Okay.
I love it. I have a long list of quotes and I don't ever remember them. The worst is when I'm on an interview and someone's like, what's your favorite quote? I'm like,
but you're like movie quote master over here. You could recite every movie.
But when you put me on the spot, I go blank with it. Yeah.
I think Mike's podcast name needs to be One-Eared Willie.
Yeah. This ear
He's
gets
always
so hot.
One ear. I just watched Goonies again. That's where I had that in my head. One-Eyed Willie. Yeah. It's a good movie.
Yeah. That was I liked it growing up, but it was more my brother.
I was really curious why you had it off the whole time.
You did?
I've been sitting here just kind of like
looking into his ear hole.
At one point, I was honestly just going to do this to like
no,
put it back on.
This is where all the heat that I'm creating from talking is going out this ear.
His right ear dissipates all of his heat.
We did do a podcast with him once where he turned red.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
man.
Was that a podcast or a video?
Red face Mike.
Right. Yeah. It was also redneck Mike.
Redneck Mike,
it's
yeah.
like-
If you like
it's growing.
just scroll through every 10 seconds, you'll see the progression of the redness going up my face. I don't know what that was.
Yeah. And there was no like react. You weren't like hot or panicky.
I mean, it looked like hives. I don't know. Yeah. No, I was comfortable.
Felt
fine.
good.
Yeah. So back on topic.
Sorry.
Your gym, we do a lot of we do like 6-week cycles.
Yeah.
Right. I've learned that programming for a gym, that's what keeps people engaged the most. Mainly too, because there's like lots of travel. People will miss a week here and there. So I think keeping the cycles really short and focused on a couple of things, a couple of strength progressions, maybe 1 or 2 retests of like a benchmark workout or a machine test. But then also too, throughout the year, we do a lot of events, right? Like you do some in-house stuff, you do outdoor stuff. Talk about some of those and like why that's important, you think, in a gym setting.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just builds the community even more. So the people that are pretty consistent with coming in the morning don't ever really see the people at night, or maybe if they do, it's usually only on a Saturday morning. So having the events that take place outside of here. So we created like a strongman event that we'll do at one of the buddies' churches. And
That's gonna be so cool.
So then it's just like teams of 3, you get people together, and then everybody goes and does like 3 workouts on the hour. So then now the community is getting outside of the gym, other people are seeing it, then ultimately they're like, oh, well, where are you guys from? And then it's easy to just then gain members from that perspective. Friday Night Lights, I feel like always during the open, those things are big.
We've done
weightlifting.
Yeah, the weightlifting meets are cool, where it's not a traditional weightlifting meet, but it puts a lot of fun.
Coming in hot. Coming in hot.
Thank
It's a-
you.
oh, yeah.
Coffee delivery.
Right. Duncan, man, they're doing it right.
Brandon Dorman.
Thank you, sir.
Good job, Brandon.
Yeah, like the weightlifting meets are cool. We'll run it where it's not like a traditional meet.
Yeah.
We do it in a more fun environment where it's like you rotate station to station, but it puts a lot of fun and focus into the training cycle that's leading into it. And I think
Because then there's something at the end of it that they know they are
They're
showing
working
up
toward,
for,
yeah.
and this is why I'm going to do it, versus other people that are just like, I'm not really
Yeah.
into that. But
the 5K relay was cool too. We
Yeah,
went
that
to a
was-
track and you had a team of 2 and you guys, and we had
Every
it
400.
intervalized where you alternated. It was like 800, 800, 400, 400. I can't remember
In
these.
teams of 2?
Yeah.
too. So
Ooh.
every,
So it was nasty.
so for
it
a
was
5K
fun though.
for time.
But we did running
Who won
cycles
that?
leading into.
Do you remember?
Kyle and Gon.
Kyle
yes.
Bernier?
No,
Oh, I was like,
Kyle.
he shouldn't be allowed.
Man, his last name. I don't remember. He moved.
Yeah. But yeah, they were fast. That was cool though.
Yeah.
Like just different things like that.
outside of it. But that's what we train for.
Yeah, make the training cycles really fun. I guess my question for you guys too, I want to hear your thoughts on is like, why do you think creating competition in a group environment like that's important? Or is it safe? Is it unsafe?
Inside the gym, or you're saying outside the gym, or in general?
Do you need to do competitions in a gym setting like that? Like people are here to do fitness and like
I
get
think,
healthier.
Yeah,
Is that
I mean,
necessary?
I think that you need both options, because I think a huge portion of humanity is just motivated by comparison. Like that's kind of how we model ourselves. Even like when we learn, we watch people do things and then we start to do them. And I think competition gives you this outlet of measurement and perspective. And I think there's so much energy and cheering and enthusiasm that people oftentimes do things that they've never done before.
Yep.
Because of that energy. Whereas the energy is just very different in a normal training session. Even if it's great and the music's on and people are having a good time, when there's like a, hey, we've been working for the last 6 weeks towards this one moment, and now deal with the pressure and let's see how you respond to it. I don't think every member on the planet wants that, but having that
agree.
environment, even if it's only 50% of your culture that has that competitive instinct, it allows them to improve at a faster rate. And then it kind of brings up the model of like what the culture stands for. It just brings up the standard, and they end up becoming like leaders, right? They learn faster skills, they teach others skills, and they show others skills. So I think it's personally important.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. I definitely don't think that everyone in the gym needs to come in and sign up for the weightlifting meet, but I think they enjoy being around and watching it when it happens.
Yeah, and I mean,
supporting.
people
think it's
even
cool.
they just come and show up and watch.
Yeah.
So even if they didn't want to participate, they're still here supporting everybody else that is actually wanting to do it, and I think that's what's fun. But I think, yeah, most of the people that are coming into the gym are competitive to a degree. Like you just kind of, that's the nature of CrossFit. As soon as the clock starts, it's like, okay, no, who's going to win?
Yeah.
So I think most of the people enjoy the competition aspect and getting outside the gym, trying different things. And that's why I think even during the open and things is you find people that get their first muscle up or
that's awesome.
Those different
when that happens.
skills because the environment is high. Like, and that's what's made me do the open workout multiple times is because like the energy's there and it's like, no, just go.
I love watching the lifting meets here. Like it fires me up because you can tell when it's someone who's like taking a chance on being on like a platform like that. And they're scared shitless, but they do it. And they're like, they get done like, God, that was fun. Like, I can't believe I did that in front of everyone. It was so cool. So that's awesome to watch. I think that's super important. I mean, so I think we always sit down and through each cycle, we're like, all right, well, like what's the main focus of the cycle? Like we have the priorities that we're going to do in the training, but like, what is like the event we're kind of building towards? And I think that like keeps members engaged and I mean, community is powerful. And like, that's what keeps people coming, on a regular basis.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's enjoyable for me. I mean, but if you are doing the individual stuff, you have to understand it's not always as glamorous and fun because you're off to the side just doing that. But sometimes I think that's necessary to do because it helps you get better at what your specific goals are and tasks that you need to focus on.
Yeah.
But I think for the general population, for most of the people coming in here, just having a fun, high energy, great workout that's like safe, but still allowing them to get better at the end of the day is what you're trying to create.
I've seen a lot of gyms or maybe earlier in CrossFit. I don't like go through them and look at other people's programs that much anymore, but it seemed like a lot of them just lack progression. Like there was a Metcon every day, which definitely feeds the itch. Like a lot of people, they just want to go in and they just want to get a workout with the whatever basic movements of CrossFit. But it seemed like a lot of those people would not get better over time because it was just doing, just doing Metcons. I feel like that's I don't know where to go with there.
No,
with
I understand it because you're a couple things. One,
I mean, I used to do it.
I'll get to that. One, I think
we'll get to judging you.
You got to consider that members don't come every day. Like the same, they come on different days. So like if you're signing up to join a CrossFit gym, I remember when I first started doing CrossFit, I had like a 3-day-a-week pass at the gym I was at. And I was like, all right, well, when I go these 3 days, I'm going to do like the hard Metcons because I'm doing all my bodybuilding and running by myself.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not saying that members do that now, but some still do. So like, I think that's part of it. I don't know if the owner's necessarily doing it because of that, but I think that's what their expectation is when they come to the gym. So if they don't get that, they're going to leave.
Yeah.
The other thing I think that happens with that, with a lack of progression, honestly, and unfortunately, is like gym owners are busy, right? Like trying to run the gym and sitting down and putting a ton of thought process into writing programming for a group when you have all these incoming voices and opinions and I want to do this. I need more Metcons. My shoulder hurts. I got to run the gym. Like it's really hard to do. So I think like
hiring mine.
Well, so was that the workflow that you would basically get all the feedback and you'd be able to disseminate like whose opinion, like what am I getting a lot of
you
patterns
just look
for?
at the masses of like, how's everybody feeling? What's going on? Like, are
you're reactive.
Yeah. And so then after a certain point, it was like, okay.
Was it a lot easier and like more effective for you as a business owner?
Oh, to hand it over?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like it was like an immediate kind of just like, like you don't have to like, it's just the little things of like
you
focusing
guys
on it, sitting at home, writing it all out, planning the progressions, then trying to plan, like, it's just easier. Like, okay, I have 12 other things I can focus on where then now he's just like, that's just what he's doing.
Yeah.
And
we
so
would consult and he would tell me the needs and I would say, all right, well, like this is the things I also think they need. It also allowed you to put more time. You guys when you handed over the programming to me, you guys bumped up your on-ramp process. You put more time into that. And now it's pretty long. It's what, 6 sessions. And then you also started doing more clinics, basically like weightlifting clinics, gymnastic stuff. So I think it just allowed you to have more of an opportunity to like, you've got an hour, a day to work with a member. You can't spend 45 minutes of that just trying to teach that one movement and expect them to, get a great workout in. Like, so I think that if someone is like that far off on learning the skills that are needed to do a CrossFit class workout effectively, they need a lot of individual time outside of that. And I think that's still 100% on the gym owner. I don't think you can hand off all that, but I think having someone assist in the programming structure is huge on organizing time better as a gym owner.
The programming discussion, I feel like in the level 1 is pretty quick. It's like, couplets, AMRAPs, triplets, put most of your work in here. And then they have the pyramid. I don't remember. I took it again last year and I still don't remember all the details of what they talk about programming wise, but I feel like programming is kind of a more complicated process, and it may be even more complicated when you're working with a group because you're trying to get to a bell curve distribution of like, okay, all the things for this major group of people is getting better at once.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm working with one person, I'm like, all right, well, they have all the individual needs. Do you think because of that, or maybe just like culturally, that people just think like, oh, programming's easy, like it's just write something up on a board, make it like a hopper, and that they'd be resistant to it, or that they'll know right off the bat?
I mean, I think it depends, because you've got a member that comes in that's brand new to CrossFit, and you've got some that have been here for 5 years or more. Yeah. So like those demands are really different. Yeah. So I think if you're a gym that's been established and has developed clients for a long period of time, you're going to have to start creating progressions to make already fit people stay fit and get even better. Yeah. And then the same thing, you need to have a way to have a segue in for people that are very new to it. So, I mean, that's that to me. I feel like
that's also like the scaling portion, but that's also on the coaches and the environment of.
Yeah. I think that comes with smart scaling, right? Like you can just be like, all right, well, we'll just change the movement today. And it's like, right. But eventually they're not going to get any better at the thing they're trying to do in that actual workout. So like that, like sometimes the scaling modification could look like a completely different workout.
Yeah.
You know, if you're doing it correctly.
And that's really on the coach. On the in-person coach.
That's on the in-person coach.
To be able to see and watch what's happening and then be able to assess like, nah, you need to modify it to this.
Yeah.
Or if you have this injury, you need to change the complete workout to something else.
Yeah.
But that would be on who's ever in person.
Yeah. Was that?
I wanted to, what were you going to say?
I was if that answered your question.
Yeah.
I think so.
I forgot what
it was kind of a long question.
Right?
Yeah.
I was going to segue into, a design affiliate or TTT affiliate.
Not Dijon.
And I wanted to ask what?
Duncan, DK.
Oh my
DNK.
God.
I know.
DNK.
They're doing it now. Yep.
Do you think they
see
stole
that, Chris?
it from the design?
Oh, no, we pointed that out the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's doing the 4 thing. That's how you know it's time to go.
All right. So for TTT affiliate, we talked about, and you've kind of been beta testing this for 2 years.
Yeah.
But we talked about like, what are we trying to deliver to people? And one of the major selling points of a lot of the other ones was scaling options. And you decided to go a completely different route with that based on your experience.
Yeah. I mean, we're in TTT affiliate, we're actually doing like a beta test that we're launching soon. Starts October 11th. We're going to have scaling options for the workouts and like suggestions on, all right, like if this person can't do an overhead squat for this session for today, this is what we recommend on what we're trying to get out of it. But what we're not doing is like creating a ton of these extra progressions and development protocols within the program, because we still think that it's the coach's job to take the time to actually grab the client and spend time outside of it, because you just can't do that in 1 hour in a class. So my point being is like, I'm not putting it in the hour program because I don't want it to slow down the group as a whole.
Yeah. Cause the group as a whole already has some training experience and can't be trained to the lowest common denominator.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I've seen this and I've made this mistake in the past with other group programs.
Yes. Hear ye.
Because I'm keeping in, because I have in consideration the person who can't do X movement, then I'm making the whole class do this, that it's making everyone else less fit in the process. And I think that's doing a disservice.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it needs to be based off the best person in the class, and then best person.
I usually try to meet in the middle.
And then you taper and modify whatever you need to get close to that.
So with the beta test, right, we're going to have obviously a daily workout, scaling modifications, coach's notes, equipment modifications or suggestions if you're limited, because you're a gym that has everything. Right. Like, and I understand that. And like, there's no way I can guess if this is a group program that we're going to have online to sell. There's no way I can guess what equipment everyone has.
Yeah.
But we're going to be like, all right, we understand not everyone has 20 bike ergs. So if you have a bike erg workout that's written this day, we're going to suggest this being a cyclical piece of some format.
Yeah. Like, rowing.
Yeah. And it's not just going to be like, oh, I'll just do a rower every time. Like there's more thought process put into that, where it's like, all right, like I wanted this to be different than a hinge pulling type movement. I want it to be bike focused. So there's those things that will be in there to help with that. We basically will release a week at a time when we're running it for 12 weeks. So it's from mid-October to the end of December. And then after that process, it's 2-week cycles, 2 6-week cycles. After that process, we're going to get a lot of feedback and basically run surveys and think, all right, like based off everyone that did this, what are the things we need to contribute to add to this? Do we need more advanced movements? Do we need less? Like based on the group that did this is how the programming will continue to be developed.
Yeah. Our end goal is really to get to a point where we can have a robust system of bringing people on, giving them tools that they could use for their own personal training and on-ramp process. So that way you can have the whole infrastructure focused on developing a better business and community. And we basically just offload all the programming demands for you, which I think is a lot of what in-person coaches, they're not necessarily as good, skilled, or experienced sitting down in front of a computer and mapping out progressions and lesson plans and all of that stuff, but they're really good at dealing with people. So that's really kind of the goal.
Yeah. And I think, so how we're going to deliver it is you'll get a week at a time. And then every day there will be an individual video of me or one of the coaches talking and saying like, this is the intent, this cycle, this is this week's progression. This is day 1 of this progression. So it'll actually be very educational in the coaching process. If you're someone who has never really sat down and mapped out like a 6-week block, a 12-week block, et cetera, you'll learn a lot in the process of doing that. And it's good fuel for your members too, right? They're going to I know that a lot of the coaches come to me with questions about what they're doing in the cycle because they get a lot of questions from their members and they're like, I want to know exactly like what the progressions are, where are we heading? And having those answers for your members is important because you want them to know like what they're working on, and that keeps them engaged and motivated.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, or at the beginning of it, since you'll be explaining everything, you send emails out. That's what has worked in the past. And then you let everybody know what's coming up, what to expect. And so then the coaches don't get as much information or questions about it. But then even for us in like the Excel sheet using like the coaches notes, then that's really helpful for the coach because then they know what they're expected to tell the members to get out of that day. Yeah. So then from that side of things, I think that's a pretty useful tool so like my morning coach is going to be different than my PM coach, but at least everybody has an idea of what they're trying to get out of the actual workout.
Oh man.
Can you give an example of that? Cause I feel like some people like intention is something that we talk about in training because we write training differently sometimes. Like an interval might not necessarily be the intention is to go full speed in every one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have one.
Yeah, I got a day pulled up here. Yeah. I mean, this is like a gymnastics skill development focus day. So part 1 of the session is AMRAP or intervals of toe to bar, right? So this is like a capacity test. This is like a baseline test of seeing where your members are at, what capacity they have of doing intervals of toe to bar, Tabata style setup. So 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off for 8 sets. And you're doing that.
Was that your alarm?
I think that was my phone saying
saying that we got to wrap up soon.
Yeah. Something like that. So like, that's like part 1 of the session. And then obviously, or in the notes, it talks about this is day 1 of the skill progression for this. We're using this as a baseline, as a capacity test. Obviously some members can't cycle toe to bar reps. So we suggest picking a movement that they can do in repeated intervals, and we'll use that as the capacity test, like maybe hanging knees, knee raises, and that will be a good way to progress their strength in that. But then over the next 5 weeks, you can tell them we're going to be working on developing the ability to do a toe to bar and so forth. It gives you the narrative is there of what we're working.
It gives
towards.
You context and intention for every single training component, so that way the coach has an easy way to articulate to the member exactly what they're trying to do.
Yes, because I think the problem is when you have conversations with athletes that need scaling modifications, you're like, all right, well, we're just going to change what the big thing is and just go do that. And it's like, well, what is my goal? Like, what am I focusing on? And you need to have something for that.
Yeah.
So I think these conversations, these notes we put in there help with that. Like, if you're at this point, this is your goal that we're working on. Like, just because you can't do a full toe to bar, we still have, importance in your progressions that you're doing to get better at.
You're still trying to progress.
Exactly. Yeah. Instead of just you're secondary to what they're doing as the main focus of the workout for that day. And then the second part, some intervals of mixed movements. So every 6 minutes for 4 sets, 8 wall walks, 12 kettlebell swings, 16 box jumps, AMRAP bite calories until the 5-minute mark. So that's intended for someone that has obviously like good skill with wall walks, right? 8 wall walks for an average gym member would take almost like 2 minutes. Yeah. And at least that's the intent and like around where we modeled this workout to do. And then in the notes, we say, all right, like if 2 minutes is kind of like the limiting point for most people, then consider pulling back to 6 wall walks anyways, we want everyone to kind of finish the movements leading up to a point so they all have around the same amount of time on the bike. And we talk about that in more detail in the coach's notes so that everyone's getting a similar stimulus. You're getting practice with the movements and you're getting a good workout in.
No, for sure.
Instead of like just being stuck on a wall and everyone passing you by, that kind of thing.
Which is what some people do as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, some are going to be stubborn and be like, nope, I'm not changing it. I'm doing 8 wall walks every set. Even though if it takes me 4 minutes, 30 seconds, I'll have 30 seconds on the bike.
Yeah.
So,
which is pointless.
Yeah.
Because then that is not the same workout.
No. So,
at all.
So yeah, I mean, that's the flow of it, right? Like, a lot of detail each day. And again, the intent of being educational for the coaches, and helping you progress your clients to get better and let you run your business better too. You know, like taking some time, bringing time back into the other things they're going to help you grow your business.
Yeah. I mean, it just takes off the stress of having to worry about one more thing. And I feel like programming is a big thing.
Yeah.
It's like you say one little thing, but I think it's like a big thing because you're trying to make everybody happy and you're trying to still be like friends, but you're like, okay, look, but you guys all move poorly. So you need to focus on these things or
you have all those different voices. You have all the members talking to you when you're
go talk to Mike. I can't do anything.
Yeah.
You've offloaded the power.
Can't say anything.
Yeah. So we're going to launch this, the beta test. If you want to do it, we'll have a link in the show, I guess in the show notes. To sign up.
Yeah,
in the description below, we'll have a link to sign up. It's going to start October 11th.
Yeah.
And then it'll be a 6-week cycle. We'll send out an email with survey and questions and kind of get feedback from everyone and see how things are going. And then we'll run another 6-week cycle through the end of the year.
But we're only beta testing with people that are planning on doing the whole 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. So that way we can actually get feedback for 2 consecutive training cycles, make changes and all that stuff.
Yeah. Other things you can expect in it, if there's questions, we talked about what the programming would look like. I think we take into consideration like US holidays. Saturdays are usually a partner-based workout. We also understand that like a lot of gyms aren't allowing that still, like maybe COVID restrictions or social distancing. So we're doing solo options for those workouts as well. But there's options in there and we're trying to kind of like meet in the middle of how different gyms are because I understand it's like not a perfect system. So again, that's what the beta test is for us to really kind of dial in who the audience is.
Yeah. So there's people out there. You'll be part of Travis's culture, our culture, and
come train with us.
The community.
Yep. All right, guys.
All about community.
Peace.
See you.
Peace.
Oh no! Hit another one.
Oh, I thought you didn't record it.
Yay! That's just eargasm. I don't like it.